Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Odessa here. I'm back for another episode. And today I wanted to talk to you about that idea of having everything that you've worked for, but still not feeling satisfied as high achieving women, as high achieving mothers, right? Basically, within that genre of people, there's usually a lot of vision and prayer, or just very concrete steps that are taken to get to where it is that you've gotten to where you are. You know what I mean? Like you are at a point where you are supposed to enjoy what you have achieved. You've gotten to a point where you're supposed to experience, you know what I mean, all of these expectations that you've been given, but instead, you don't necessarily enjoy what you have. And I'm bringing this up because there are a lot of women who I've been having conversations with who feel as though although they've achieved a certain level of recognition, or they've achieved a certain level of status within their work, they themselves still feel they're working in corporate and they need to slow down, or they're not sure how to, or they're cranky, unable to stop being nippy at other people. um another issue that I'm hearing is that quickness of the body and the difficulty of slowing down at night, the racing thoughts, the anxiety that sometimes happens, the difficulty staying asleep all night, and then the hardship of waking up in the morning time and feeling as though you've not slept, and if you did sleep intermittently, you don't feel rested, like the other issues that come up with that too. It's like it affects all aspects of your body. So your joints are achy and you're realizing, what it is that you've done or not done, or you're realizing you're not in that place where you once were. Your body has changed. You know what I mean? Like the aches and pains are there, and you might be ignoring them. And so because all of these underlying issues are there, it's like, okay, I've achieved all of these, goals that are supposed to be, the standards, but I myself, I'm still feeling as though there's something that's unfulfilled. And so, there's this desire to experience something outside of the speediness of what regular culture, corporate culture provides, right? Corporate culture really requires you to, step into their cycle and conform to the paradigm, conform to the cycle, so that you can be considered productive, so that you can be considered, resourceful, as someone who wants to, be supportive and get that recognition, right? But the issue that I'm seeing is that, a lot of women, they don't know how to slow down from this. You've experienced all of, the greatness, but you're not able to sit with yourself, right? Because there's this aspect of being and going and doing and slowing down. It doesn't compute, although something inside of you might be speaking to that, right? There's also this aspect of wanting the body to get into shape, to feel as though your body is in shape, to feel as though, and even if you're not in shape, to feel great in the body that you have, that you've, developed, that you yourself have cultured and cultivated over the years, right? And that also brings us to the ability to slow down and start, experiencing life from a different perspective, right? When you're stepping away from corporate culture, what happens is we tend to lean back into what we're given, the ancestral teachings, the family teachings, what our grandparents, our grandmothers, our mothers gave us, and so these desires tend to start to come to the forefront. This is what I'm hearing, the desire to be less aggressive, the desire to slow down, the desire to sit with the self, the desire to care about the self, right? Um, but it really stems from the initial experience or the initial feeling of like, well, I've achieved a certain level of status within my career, within my work, and within my life. There's something more that I need, right? That isn't within the linear timeline. Um, and so normally, we start with going for books. We start looking for, pages that we can follow, blogs that we can read, Reddit, Google, YouTube's, whomever, Patreon, asking the elders around us for recipes. What was Auntie so-and-so's recipe? What was grandma's recipe, right? And then there's also a level of self-medicating because now you're starting to recognize, okay, where do I stand with using products in my body? There's a lot of conversation around, what's out there. So who am I in this grand scheme, right? And so another way of working through that, another way of trying to fulfill uh, the feeling um, of not being fulfilled or satisfied is also like taking those vacations, right? And booking those days off to do nothing, sometimes everything else, right? It's the indulgence in wine. It's the indulgence in rich foods. It's, maybe going to get a massage or spend time at the spa, or, if you have, dependents, you might send them off to your parents, or you might, hire a sitter to come in, or lock yourself in a room, or buy melatonin, right? To be able to just create some semblance of equilibrium. We're always looking for equilibrium, even when we think that we're okay and we're working outside of our own natural cycles, especially as womb carriers, right? Like there's something very specific about that cycle, and how we perpetuate this in our everyday lives. And so when you're working towards creating more space in your mind, asking questions like, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Like this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what I believe I've achieved or I'm working towards, but there's I need something more. Do I need to go to church more? Do I need to have more conversation? Like, what is it that I need? And so, for example, I um, want to have a discussion or talk about one particular experience I had with someone I was working with, who was very, very high strung, very much on the go, and was not able to slow down, didn't see the benefit in slowing down, right? And wasn't paying attention to what was happening around her, was able to hear it and repeat it, but was not receiving it as, a warning, a symbolism of, you're entering into danger zone, and was scared of truths, scared of the truths of her body, scared of the truth of, you know, her personal choices, like what she considered to be tradition, what was handed down to her, and just what life is supposed to work, and so the ways that this was affecting her was that she was very short-tempered. She was very, very giving to her children, to her family, to her work, which was also a very giving category. And it was very service oriented. And it was hard for her to create boundaries. And so she was very drained. And so a lot of the chronic illnesses that were, quiet in the background began to get louder. And although she was quieting the noise, in her immediate ears, you know, the symptoms were starting to be extremely loud. You know what I mean? Showing up in her body, showing up in the way that she was, you know, snapping at the people around her, showing up in the way that, you know, her body was not feeling, you know, good about the food that it was eating, was not feeling good about the clothes that she was wearing, but, you know, the experience that she has in terms of what looks like, you know, having achieved success, you know, it wasn't fulfilling to her. And so that was really questioned. Like that was really interesting because we had to start questioning that stereotype. What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a womb carrier? What does it mean to, you know, want to connect deeper to the self, but still, you know, living in a corporate world? What does it mean to, you know, be a mother, you know, in this world of ever-changing values and ever-changing paradigms and titles, you know, like how are you doing this? And so just, you know, the kind of strain that she was experiencing because of the dichotomy, you know, there were two parts of herself that were developing, you know, or I'd say a part of her that was emerging and her not, you know, giving permission to acknowledge the transformation, the natural transformation that was happening, right? You know, having to do with age, having to do with achievements, having to do with, you know, familial and societal, as well as environment, right? So some of the challenges that she had to overcome was, first of all, her mindset. You know, it's like we can't say this too many times. Your mindset is so important. If you are on the path to wellness, if you have made a decision to, you know, start inquiring, why is it that I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling? I don't like it. Why is it that my body is, you know, behaving in this particular way, which is, you know, hors de service? It's out of service. It's not functioning optimally. If you're at that point where you're making the decision to say, okay, I need to do something about it, I need to do more research, one of the first things that you have to keep in mind is that your mindset needs to shift. And what do I mean by that? You know, we have quick fixes when it comes to medicine that is accessible over the counter, right? You know, the pain medication, the Metamucil, the Motrin, the, you know, the Pepto-Bismol, that was the one I was thinking about. And when we begin to look at what is required for the body to heal, if we're using natural medicine, a lot of people tend to cringe. And it's like, okay, you know, this is a long-term project. And, you know, what is the reason why I'm doing this? Like, you know, I need to invest time in this. You know, is this something that I want to do? Am I going to be too busy to apply, you know, the techniques that are involved in this? Is this something that, you know, my beliefs and values, you know, do they carry this and do they resonate with this, you know? And so that was one of the first challenges that she had to overcome. We really had to sit down and we really had to think about this, you know, like, where are you on this journey? You're now recognizing that what was working is not working right now, right? Like the goal that you had and you aimed your compass towards, that goal that you reached, you know, that outcome area that you're settling into right now, the person that brought you there, you know, is no longer required in this new environment, because a new experience of yourself must emerge to be able to truly absorb what you're in, the lessons and the growth and, you know, the process that you have to go through. So her beliefs and values around her worth, right? Because it's like we will overgive to everyone. We'll make sure that we've ticked off all of the boxes, and you're, you know, medicated and going into work, and you're not sleeping, but you're, you know, creating 4 or 5 different meals sometimes if you're a parent, you know, and that might be an exaggeration, but I do know some households that do that, you know. So it's important to keep in mind that, you know, not doing the work will keep you in the same place that you are in. That was another piece. It's like, you know, we can talk about the videos that we've watched and the PDFs that we've read, you know what I mean, the little exercises that we've done. But if you know, if you don't do the work, you don't get results. And because of the trajectory and what is involved to truly embody the change, it's like, you know, this is the second piece. So I think like just overall, it's more a question of that mindset. You know, that's the biggest priority, I think, when it came to this particular client's experience of the work. And so, you know, knowing why she's doing it, you know, knowing the outcomes that she wanted, and just like really embodying, like, okay, this is something that I want to do, and why do I want to do it? And so, you know, for those of you who are interested in transformation, for those of you who, you know, are looking for an environment, you know, to support you in that, I want to invite you to my Facebook group. You can go to the link in my bio and you can join my Facebook group. Where we start going deeper into these kinds of concepts and support you on that. And also, I would like to invite you to click on the link in my bio and download the free emotional centering meditation. It's a very simple 20-minute experience that can help you to you know, relax and center yourself before going to sleep at night, just to help program those subconscious processings that the body is doing, and just put you in the mind of you know, seeing yourself very much centered within yourself. And that's what I wanted to offer you all today. And so it's always a pleasure to have these conversations with you. And I look forward to coming on and chatting some more. I bid you all a wonderful day, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are. Take care. Until next time.